everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Mr. Brennan Stefanik, bringing you your general programming reminders. Of course, every Monday, folks, we have the main pod, and every Wednesday is our good old mini-series In the Spotlight that me and Danny are bringing to you every week. But that's enough about us. Who cares about us? That's not what you're here for. You're here to tune in with my very special guest. You may know her from the Twenty-Sided Tavern Off-Broadway. It is Jasmin Malave. Jasmin.
Hello.
What is going on?
Oh my gosh, not too much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. Jasmin, who the heck are you and what do you do?
That's a good question I ask myself every day. I am a immersive actor here in the city, I guess. Amazing. Is the short answer.
Great.
Yeah.
What do you mean by immersive actor? What do you consider that?
Yeah, so I kind of got thrown into the quote immersive world in around 2016. It's anything where you are expecting to have some sort of interactions with the actors.
Amazing.
Even something as simple as eye contact or being thrust into the universe and pretending you're at the same restaurant as them, something like that.
Heard.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Work. I love that. The second question is usually, Jasmin, how do we know each other? But we don't.
Yeah, we're just meeting.
You really took your risk with me, and I really appreciate you putting your trust in me.
I'm always fine going to a random apartment building and just seeing what happens.
In New York City,
Why not?
Nothing could ever go wrong. Wow. Jasmin, did you go to school for theater?
Yes and no. I do not have a degree in theater. Mm-hmm. I did take the summer intensive at the Atlantic Acting School.
Lovely.
But that's the extent of my acting training.
Okay, heard.
Yeah.
And you're in an off-Broadway show.
We did it.
There you go, folks. Yeah, that's
It's doable.
It is very doable. Okay, so tell me about the journey that you made. So where are you from, first of all?
Yeah, I grew up in Arizona.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's very far from here.
This was always something I wanted to do. I got into community theater when I was 12 and continued to do it more and more as I got older. By the time I was in high school, I was doing 5 productions a year, either in them or teching or costuming or something. I just wanted to be involved at all times. Yeah, so then I came straight to New York City because that's where you do that.
That's where we do that, apparently, and that's where the opportunities are. So we say goodbye, and then we come here.
Yep.
Sorry, Mom. Love you, miss you. But yeah, rock and roll. So then did you start that Atlantic training right away, or did you kind of have a little grace period here in the city?
I didn't. My original plan was, I'm coming to New York. I'm going to go to whatever school will give me the most money.
Amazing.
And so I ended up at Pace for a single semester.
Okay.
And they weren't going to let me into the theater program right away.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I was fortunate enough to get enough grants and scholarships that my tuition was essentially paid. But room and board downtown is insane.
Yeah.
So I was still looking at way more money than I felt comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And so with all of that combined, I just said, screw it. I dropped out. Everybody lost their minds. Mm-hmm. I got so many messages about it. And I just created my own curriculum here in the city.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And there's so many opportunities for classes and stuff to kind of just do that.
Yeah. I was going to be stuck in a class that I didn't want to take anyway with a teacher I hadn't necessarily heard of.
Yeah.
And instead, I was obsessed at the time with The Last 5 Years, so I found the man who vocally trained Sherry Renee Scott and Norbert Leo Butz, and I trained with him personally.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's just about making it work for you, I think.
Heard. Are you a dancer as well?
I used to do a lot more dance. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't consider... I'm a mover.
Movers. The hashtag mover club. That's where it's at, y'all. Get on our level. Amazing. And now you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
I love to hear that. My favorite episodes are usually always the ones with the folks who don't have the quote-unquote training that is vital to the industry, you know? There's so much opportunity out there where it's just not necessary. We just don't need that, you know?
There is, like, a lot of weird elitism still at some of these very famous houses. Yeah. So I've literally heard in the last few years that there's still a few houses that say, first you cast from Yale, then you cast from Juilliard, then you can do NYU if you didn't find it.
Crazy.
So it still exists.
That's
I get it.
Crazy.
So if you can afford it, Word. I would have done that.
Sure.
Oh, I would have done that. Also, it helps because you build a community with the people you graduate with. Connections are a thing. Like, I get all of that. But it's so prohibitively expensive.
Exactly. It's a pay-to-play game, and it's very unreasonable to have to pay that kind of money. And also, like, then afterwards be able to pay off that kind of money if your parents aren't fronting it or whatever, you know? It's a lot. It's...
I'll be paying it the rest of my life.
Truly. It's very gate-kept in a way that we don't have time for here at From BA to Broadway.
No.
We're knocking down those walls. We're doing all that jazz. Okay, so... I'm sorry, I felt a burp coming on. This is a pro-burp podcast. It is encouraged. We are not cowards here. Everyone burps, and so we celebrate. So you did your own training here, and then I obviously stalked your website and resume prior to you coming here.
Oh, yay, that's so fun.
And it seems like you have done a lot. It seems like you have done a lot of work.
Yeah, I've been working really consistently since about 2016. I will say that summer intensive, kind of really honing in my craft and the thing that I was always passionate about, was tremendously useful. So
Amazing.
Definitely recommend going to whatever school that you can reasonably afford, but definitely get some training to really hone in.
Heard.
But I don't think that you have to do the bells and whistles of a 4-year program.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, having a technique that I knew I could use regularly meant that I went into auditions more confidently. I actually had a technique to work through my monologues before I went into the room. I was also just more cognizant of how to bring in the best material for any job. And honestly, I think my audition technique at this point is what helps me more than anything else.
Amazing. That rocks. I mean, that's also something that a lot of people like have to learn, trial by fire kind of situation too. So it's nice that you kind of set yourself up with that. Are you in the union? Are you a non-union actor?
I'm currently non-union in
Rock
both
and roll.
regards. The tavern is currently non-union. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we encourage people filming inside of the space and posting on Instagram, and the union doesn't allow that.
There's so many funky rules surrounding that. It's a lot.
And so that's definitely a huge reason why we currently can't do that at all for the show that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
But even for film and television, I finally got an agent this year for that. I'm working on that as well. But
Amazing.
You just kind of, the way the industry's been lately, it's almost better to just play it by ear.
Yeah, truly. I mean, the opportunity will come in whatever way it needs to. And a lot of time, people are just joining the union by the contracts that they get, you know?
It's honestly, I think, the better way to go most of the time. Once you're a must join, just make sure you had some money set aside and be ready to pull that trigger. But otherwise, just coast until you have to.
SAG-AFTRA did bang down my door last year and say, you have to give us the money or else. And I said, I've never spent that much money on anything in my life, and whatever. Here we are. Here we are. Do you have a preference of performance? Are you a theater girly at heart?
I really am.
Yeah.
I love stage.
The live performance aspect of it all is just, I mean, listen, I'll do anything that wants to pay me, for sure.
For real.
Like,
but the energy you get back from an audience is unparalleled.
Yeah, especially with someone who identifies as an interactive performer in that way. That feels like it would be your lifeblood in a way.
It's so wild because I actually would say that I never considered myself an improviser, and I actually consider that something I'm not very good at, is what I would have told people for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I just, like you said earlier, I took the job that gave me money.
There you go.
So 2016, I ended up with a murder mystery thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so I had to do regular murder mystery shows. We were going to people's houses. We were performing, and all of it was riffing off of whatever they were giving us.
Yeah.
And so I got more and more comfortable with that, which I still consider more character work than, like, strict improv,
For
per
sure.
se.
So you don't have any official, like, improv training.
No.
And now you are in a show that is
Heavily improv.
heavily relying on improv.
Yep.
Amazing.
From the days of goofing around with fake murders in people's homes to Off-Broadway.
Of course. So are you a Dungeons & Dragons girl at heart?
I am a nerd through and through.
Amazing.
I've been playing D&D for a number of years now. I played other tabletop games from, like, 2012.
Great.
And I've been a gigantic nerd my whole entire life. I was 100% that girl in the back of class whose English book was up, but there was a manga inside.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is your big three for nerddom with a capital N?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I have to go first and foremost Star Trek.
Okay.
With an emphasis on Deep Space Nine. I will fight anyone. It's the best of all of them.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I would probably go after that Pokemon.
Okay, amazing.
I'm not as much on... I don't know as many of the Pokemon nowadays, but those first 151,
There's too many now. This is a firm stance that I have. They are making too many Pokemon, and the bar is getting lower and lower. They are making every inanimate object a Pokemon, and it just doesn't make sense in my brain.
Yep, it's too many.
And I stand by that.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Let's change that. Amazing.
And then the last one, I guess... That one is probably the movable one. I would say maybe in high school I would have said Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay.
I think later on I might have said like more fantasy stuff. So maybe Brandon Sanderson books and fantasy stuff like that. And I think also, of course, now it's hugely tabletop. Like nowadays I do so much tabletop. Even before the show, I was doing live play with friends on their smaller podcasts and things like that around the city, and being recorded doing that anyway. So this kind of was just like a natural transition.
How did that find its way into your life?
The live play?
Like just tabletop games, like Dungeons and Dragons, all of that in its own.
The original thing that I played was Mouse Guard because a roommate really wanted us to get into
God.
it. Do you have it?
I have Mouse Guard. The graphic novel is literally on my bookshelf right there.
It's just so cute.
Yeah.
So it was like a really gentle transition. I at first thought, oh, that's too much. Like, that's too much nerd. I don't know if I can do it.
That's a very niche nerd, too. Wow.
And that was the one that my roommate wanted to introduce us to because he also felt like Dungeons and Dragons can be a lot to ask for your first tabletop game.
Fair.
Just filling out that sheet the first time is rough. Like, let's be honest.
For sure. It's a lot.
It's a lot of math.
And unless you have like a very firm guiding hand, it's a science that even I don't understand till this day, you know?
I still prefer to just go on to the website and have it auto-populate my choices because it's a lot.
Literally. I'll write it down. I'll go from there. It's all improv anyways, you know?
Of course. Yes. And then I got super into D&D because of pandemic.
Heard.
Like so many people.
Heard. Of course.
My little brother had been playing a game for years with a bunch of people from back in our hometown. And at that point, when they went virtual, everything could be done on websites like Roll20.
Yeah.
And so he actually looped me in a few months into pandemic to join their campaign.
Amazing.
And so my little brother and I are playing siblings in-game together as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, listen, Dungeons and Dragons, like, is theater. Like, it is inherently theater. Like,
every theater kid should be playing a tabletop game.
Truly. I mean, I was very hesitant to D&D for a long time just because I didn't really know... nobody really knows what it is until like you're really seeing it with your own eyes, and it was very intimidating in a way that I didn't want to even try or attempt, you know. And then once I started like actually learning about it, I was like, oh no, this is just, we're just performing. We're just having a silly little performance in our basement or whatever.
And goofing with my friends in character.
Literally. Which is just like, what more can you ask for?
Costumes encouraged, sold.
And like, especially with like the zeitgeist that it has nowadays, like Dungeons and Dragons is like so forefront. These are, by the way, these are the nerdiest episodes I have ever done, and I'm living for it. It is just so in the forefront of like just media in general now too, where it is like, I don't know, it is a performance option out there, which is crazy.
Though, the fact that I have always been a nerd. I used to get made fun of. I was a weirdo playing magic cards. People didn't know what I was doing. Why am I reading these books backwards? Like all these things that were part of my life. And now it's like kind of hot to be a nerd.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it. My time has come.
Exactly. 100%. And like people are like making money just by playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like that is their job, which like incredible. Also like they don't tell you that's an option in theater school and all that jazz, you know?
They don't. That was kind of one of the biggest discoveries I made was oh, I may not be doing the Broadway musical things that I originally moved here envisioning myself doing, but I was getting paid regularly to go to people's houses and facilitate a house party, bring them joy, and get a good amount of money, often tipped and fed, and then sent home. Like, there's a lot worse ways to make some money.
Truly. I mean, I feel like all the time I have this battle where I'm like, yes, this isn't my main goal. Like, I still have my other goals, but also I'm getting paid to do something that is really cool in some way, shape, or form, in a way that, like, my other survival jobs, like, don't scratch that itch. You know, like, is it what I want and more? No, not necessarily, but I am doing a very cool thing and amazing. You know, rock and roll.
A lot of the other stuff that I would do too is like tons of children's theater.
Yeah.
And so just hobbling together 5 or 6 regular gigs that you can schedule around each other, and then just occasionally doing 1 or 2 bar shifts a week. Like, I was able to make that work for years.
Amazing. And if you can pay your rent from doing that, like, first of all, if you're getting paid to do that in general, like, you are a professional actor, which
you're doing it.
People don't give enough credit to that, you know.
If you're doing something for free in a black box and you put time and energy into it, you're still an actor.
That's true. That is exactly right. You know, if this is what you do and this is what you devote your life to, like, you are an actor.
Yeah.
And it's as easy as that. Heck with Broadway. Who needs it? Not
That's just
us.
Commercially successful anyway.
Yeah, we don't even.
I'm trying to have fun.
We don't even want that at all. No.
Although I would take the paycheck. Can I have some money?
Literally anytime. I would sell my soul. Yeah. So now we're in this lovely world where the options for a performer are truly, I'm not going to say endless, but, like, there are so many paths that you can take that aren't just what school kind of quote unquote teaches you or what society teaches you, you know? Like, my introduction to D&D was Dimension 20, and, like, just that network. Like, I had downloaded Dropout TV because I was getting targeted TikToks of, like, Game Changer episodes and whatnot, and I was like, this is really fun. I would like to watch a full episode because I am truly just watching clips here. So I subscribed, and then I eventually made my way into the Dimension 20 D&D of it all, and I was like, these people are getting paid to just have fun with their friends. You know, these are just people showing up, being silly, doing things they enjoy, you know? And, like,
it's a life without compromises.
No.
Like, honestly, it's so nice. When I think about the fact that I get to do this show and play Dungeons and Dragons in a theatrical way and just goof off, kind of, that's what I'm getting paid to do right now. Unbelievable.
Amazing. I just want life to be silly. I just want life to be silly, and I would like to not have to stress and live my life by that. So if there is a job that can provide that, sold.
Yeah.
Sold, you know? Okay, so once again, you are now in the show that is primarily heavily improv.
Yeah.
What was that journey like, getting to that point? And I don't know what was assimilation like, because you have joined the cast later,
more recently,
later into the run, which also, how cool that they did this little reroll situation where they kind of just swap around everything. Like, what an amazing opportunity that we don't really see. We don't really see that in commercial theater, or, like, what we're advertised as theater in general, you know?
The fact that everyone can swap around, that gender doesn't matter in this space. Yeah. That, you know, Maddie was playing my role, and now she's still doing the show with me, but she's the trickster now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all very cool.
Yeah.
And my journey with it has been so interesting. I was doing all of that immersive work for so many years, and then coming out of, or I guess rather, going into pandemic, I had a lot of momentum. Things were looking really great. I had just qualified for SAG-AFTRA in January.
Oh, no.
And I'm so glad I waited and didn't pay my dues immediately, which I almost did. Yeah, it was like a weird timeline.
I got my SAG card in the mail the day the writers went on strike.
Oh, no.
I was like, truly, the irony of life is, from an objective standpoint, beautiful, you know?
I'm going to laugh about it because I'm really upset. Because
I have no other choice. Anywho, yeah.
And then coming out, obviously, I didn't really know what my next move was going to be. So what I did end up with is getting invited to do an audition for an immersive murder mystery again, but in a warehouse that was going to be in a space that would be consistent and people would come to it.
Interesting.
And it was a space with other immersive things, so like escape rooms and stuff like that. And I did the audition. And this is one of the things. I've been making a real career for myself, auditioning for roles no one wanted to see me for.
Interesting.
I audition a lot of times where I end up taking roles that are written as he, him pronouns, and they change it after the fact for me.
Wow, that rocks.
Yeah, I found this really funny niche where I don't feel like many of the characters written for women, especially women who, so full disclosure for people who are listening, I am Asian and Hispanic mixed, and I'm 5'1", and quite petite.
Yeah.
So people expect a certain type of personality from me, and that's not actually who I am. And that's the one thing I never figured out in acting school. I don't know how to play meek. So if that's going to be an expectation of the character, my character is going to be more resilient than that. The way that I'm going to play the character is going to be a lot more of a fighter than that.
Heard.
And so I was coming up against this wall of what people expected me to do, and then them being disappointed with my auditions.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that character.
Exactly.
I agree. And so I started reading breakdowns for other characters and being like, I like this guy who's a friend who doesn't have to be a guy.
Yeah.
And I would just start submitting myself for that. And that's how I've started getting other little roles here and there.
That's amazing. Also, that's brilliant.
The spirit of the character matches better. Why would I not audition for it?
For sure.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. I love that. I mean, also, I feel like there's so much taboo around things like that because people are like, well, I have this opportunity. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, so
Yeah.
I'd rather just take the safer route and just, do my best at whatever this is,
And that's super fair. And listen,
sure.
when I do submit for those, I write a little note and say, hey, I know this is written for a guy. I just want you to know I really connect with the description of the character. I'd love to just submit an audition anyway.
For sure.
A lot of them were callbacks and not booking.
Yeah.
But I got callbacks and I was making an impression.
Absolutely.
So I just kept following that for a while. And then coming out of pandemic, I ended up booking the show where the character was written for he, him pronouns. I think essentially what they were thinking is this woman who was going to get murdered.
Yeah.
Her best friend was going to be like her gay bestie was
Okay.
the idea. But I am from Arizona, may as well be LA without a beach. And so I came in full Valley Girl for the
Yeah.
audition and said, why can't her best friend just be a girly
Yeah.
pop next to her?
Love.
And so for a while, the swings were all other gentlemen, but I also got to play the role as well.
Amazing.
And so it worked out in my favor. And then
Yeah.
what ended up happening is that the people from 20-Sided Tavern, a lot of the creators, were friends in some tangential way and had come
Wow.
and seen a performance of mine. And so, yeah, it just worked out. I didn't know them at the time.
Yep.
I don't remember what show they came to. I do know they came at some point.
Heard.
So then when it was time to go into this audition, I felt at least a little confident. I knew they had seen my work.
Yeah.
So it just makes a world of difference. Like these little connections get made over the years that you
Yeah.
spend doing this.
That rocks. That's amazing. And I don't know. Folks, take a risk. Take a
Yeah.
risk. Especially in a way like that where there really isn't much to lose. I wouldn't say that's something where your reputation is necessarily on the line in any way, shape, or form. Like, I feel like that's something that if you are feeling hesitant about, it's something that you would really work yourself up about in a way that isn't necessarily the reality of it, Take
Yeah.
some chances. Also, gender isn't real.
Yeah,
Gender
it doesn't
isn't
matter.
real.
It's an energy thing.
Who
Yeah.
cares, Unless whatever it is central to the story.
Which respect, okay.
Yeah, whatever. But no, I don't know. Let's change it up. And I think we are seeing a lot more of that in the industry, which is nice in terms of changing up the narrative and queer representation on
Yeah.
stage and whatnot. Is it the most authentic all the time? Maybe not, but it's there in some regard.
And honestly, props for trying.
Yeah.
That's good.
Baby steps, and not even baby steps, just steps.
Yeah.
We're taking steps. We'll get there eventually.
Yep.
But also, just amazing for making that happen for yourself,
Yeah. It goes against all of the rules that any acting teacher will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, nothing was working the other way.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that.
Yeah, listen, I mean, if it's not working, change it.
Yeah.
Change whatever, give something else a shot. I feel like once again with that too, we get into these habits in our auditions where it's like, okay, well, I'm singing this song in my book because someone told me to sing this song in my book, but it's not really getting me anywhere. So I don't really know what to do here until somebody else tells me that I should change it, you know?
Yeah, there's a bunch of great songs in my book that are probably more appropriate to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And also showcase my range a lot better. But every time I bring in He's Got Possibilities from It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman.
Okay.
The table comments how much they love that song every time.
Fun.
So stuff like that, like find what your thing is.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow the clothing too, like wearing the calming blue dress.
No.
I wear mustard yellow slacks and a blue top, usually my Nikes.
Yeah.
And I come in like, hey, this is me.
Truly.
And it works so much better.
Also, like, when we're non-union, we're going to be sitting in a holding room for a long time. You know, I'm going to be comfy. I'm going to be comfy. I'm going to wear my own clothes. I'm going to be myself. You know, that's what they want. And just do it.
Yep.
Just do it, or you'll never make it in this industry. Rabble, rabble, rabble.
Just be authentically you, I think, is like the biggest takeaway from the last few years of what I've been learning.
Yeah.
Because it allows you to walk into the room with your actual personality shining, which is really what they were looking for in the first place.
For sure. So I guess my next question would be, like, what was your audition process like? Because this show we have talked about is, like, it's just very not the traditional what you see everywhere on Broadway. It is so homey and interactive and just really collaborative and just a really nice community space in general, and also with a very heavy emphasis on improv, you know?
Yeah.
How did you approach that without quote-unquote improv training?
Well,
Or, like, what were they having you do as well, you know?
My big focus has always been the character work, so once I feel strong about my character, I'm not making the improv choices, that character is, and that feels different in some silly way in my head. But the process for this audition was pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. We had a self-tape portion. The self-tape portion was 3, maybe 4 different sections for the self-tape, which is one of the more involved self-tapes I've done in a long time.
Yeah.
The finished product that I sent them was 2 minutes long, and it took me a few hours to record all of it and edit it to send.
Yeah.
It was tell us a joke, look through this. They gave us a sheet of pictures of characters, and we were to give a backstory for a character.
Amazing.
And then there was also reading some monologue stuff. And then, on top of that too, also a intro area where they wanted us to describe our relationship to Dungeons and Dragons.
Heard.
So 4 parts.
Yeah.
Sent that in, got an initial callback. The callbacks were intense as well.
Yeah.
We were in groups of around 10 to 15, I guess, depending on the time. And for 30 minutes with those people, we played a few improv games.
Yep.
We got sent on our merry way. And then there was another round of callbacks the next day. Went back in, but this time it was a slightly smaller group, so no more than 10 or so, I think, for that group. And we spent the hour together and did more improv and some character work. And then...
Was that terrifying?
It was terrifying.
Heard.
It was so much improv. And for a person who does not consider themselves a tremendous improviser, especially when it's just free-form improv and you have to just start from nothing, it was a lot. Even when I got the company invitation and I got to be a member of the resident company, I knew I was not going to be in a performance role. I was just going to be meeting with them occasionally, rehearsing together, just kind of keeping rapport, and with the possibility of eventually going into the show, which I never expected to happen. I thought this was going to be it. And every time we went in for a company rehearsal, I was so stressed out having to do improv. And no one made me feel that way. They're lovely.
Okay, for sure.
It's just, I was not prepared to do that much improv, and then here we are.
Yeah, and then here you are. You're doing it.
Honestly, the coolest thing I think about what they did with the audition process is something about their original set of games. I have theories, but something about the games that they had us play were able to find a really unique insight into people's personalities so that they were able to pull out clear problem folks before even the second round of callbacks.
Wow, okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it was really interesting because what they've ended up with is a residency company where I can genuinely say, and this is not true of any other job I've ever had in this industry, of only great people who I would love to hang out with.
Amazing. That's so refreshing.
Like magic. I don't know what they did exactly, but they were able to really read people for filth and select lovely folks.
Amazing. Get them out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Also, just like starting an audition process with why do you like this property? What do you relate to? Like, what does it mean to you? Like, that's just so nice, because we are all going out for these shows left and right that we care about so much, but that's not a part of the equation with most castings, you know? It's like, they don't care how passionate you are or how much you relate to the character. They just want to make sure those tenors are hitting all those money notes, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So it's so nice to hear that, like, casting people and company members are, like, taking that into account and, like, prioritizing that as a part of the experience to do it, you know?
It was really nice. And it was really clear from the onset that finding authentic giant nerds was a part of their process. And it's meant that we have such a fun dynamic, and it feels just, like, warm and like home.
For sure. Also, like, nerd theater is just not really, it is a genre, but it's not very frequently produced, you know, but it needs to be. We're living in a city of just movie musicals, you know. It's just taking properties and turning them into musicals. Like, we can get nerdy with it,
right? Like,
know?
Mad respect for the Buffy people who keep doing that show every week. The episodes,
and like this is, like, a little bit of a stretch, but, like, Titanic is one of the hottest shows right now, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a nerdy show, but, like, it is a pop culture piece that you are just having a fun time with, and the value of it is shown, like, so much, you know?
Honestly, that too. I came out of pandemic with absolutely no palette for drama. And I'm a Chekhov girly. I love Shakespeare. I love these pieces that can really examine human nature, but I came out of that like, I just try to have a laugh. And so I have not done anything that's not comedy since then.
Amazing. I mean, listen, it was traumatic. It was something that we all experienced, but now we also have this opportunity to all experience something new and different.
Joy and, like, this rebirth of everything coming back.
Literally.
Like, let's have a nice time.
Yeah, and let's do some new stuff. Let's just do some new stuff, you know? We're in this new phase of life now, so let's
get crazy.
Let's make our art reflect it. Let's get silly. I don't know. Like, let's go all silly. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I don't know. What would your dream show to be turned into, or a dream whatever property to be turned into a musical?
I don't know. I feel like people have asked that, and it would never have even occurred to me to say, like, D&D, and now here we are.
Yeah, that's true.
I really love, maybe, like, a Firefly musical would be really funny.
Yeah.
Or I don't know how they would do it, but yeah, I do love a lot of deep sci-fi. So if they could find more fun sci-fi stuff. There's not a lot of sci-fi on stage.
There's not a lot of sci-fi on stage. I was also just saying, like, stage magic and stagecraft has come so far that I really feel like we're at a point where it is possible, you know? Like,
they're doing all that crazy stuff at Harry Potter.
Literally.
So we could do something.
Have you seen it?
I haven't been able to see it yet.
Okay, they have some really crazy, what I'm assuming is projection work that really just doesn't...
everyone talks about it. It's crazy.
It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't, in a way where I'm like...
Actual magic.
Genuinely. I'm like, okay, great. Let's keep on doing this with other stuff. And nerd theater is the place to do it, you know? Star Wars is so possible on stage. I firmly believe it.
It's a space opera. Why is it not on a stage yet?
Whatever. No big deal. Just, like, call me when it happens, please.
If Lincoln Center were to do it, the people would come.
Oh my God. Absolutely. It's just, like, these things that are so popular and, like, the cult classics are the things that are having the biggest lifespans. Like, I have never seen Back to the Future, and nor have I seen the musical, but it is very popular. Beetlejuice has had the biggest fan sensation in, like, a long time of, like, things that I have seen.
It's so fun.
Yeah, and just in terms of just, like, continuous support, like, it is something where, I don't know, it's silly and people seem to be afraid of that, so they're not giving it as much of a chance, but the fans are there, and I hate to say it, but the money is there. Like, the money is there. You just have to capitalize off of it in the right way.
Listen, if we can convince the producers the money is there, that's the battle.
That's exactly right.
I just need everyone to realize that there's money to be made in comedy, even though a lot of folks would consider it the lesser art. Which is silly. Oh, forgive me for wanting people to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, Shucked, did you see Shucked?
I didn't, but I keep hearing it.
My God.
Everyone said it was the best time.
It was the best time. It was so just clever. I firmly believe it should have won Best Book because the humor was just so stupid,
I
but it
love
was
stupid.
beautiful. It was like, it was truly tremendous in a way where I was like, that is humor, that is comedy. You are finding a way for every person in this theater to laugh, depending on whatever humor style is their own, like truly just uproars the entire time.
I
So
love that.
yeah, it's touring right now, and it's going near Providence, like towards the area I'm from. And I told my parents, I was like, listen, I can't describe this show to you. I can't. It's about corn. You need to see it. You need to see it. It's about
That's
corn.
like my biggest regret is I was like, what do you mean a musical about corn? And so I didn't go,
Yeah.
but damn,
That's
like
the
it
only
looks like it was the
description.
best time ever.
Yeah, it was a hoot and a half, and it's like, I'm like, that's the stuff that we need. Or like, Oh Mary, I haven't seen it yet,
I
but
know,
like,
that's another one. Everyone keeps talking
Yeah.
about it. I've been like seeing some of the others. I only have Wednesdays now.
yes, yeah, it must be so hard being an off-Broadway
Oh,
show, Jasmine.
I just want to see everything.
Oh.
I'm trying to go see Celino and Barnes.
Oh my
Next
God.
time.
Listen, go for it.
It all looks so funny.
Yeah. So I do feel like there are a couple of producers out there that are finally starting to take the chances on these more niche aspects of theater and humor, but it's clearly paying off. So
It's like something I've been telling people for a really long time. Like, I don't need everything I consume to be high art.
yeah,
I just need there to be a value in it. And if
Yeah.
it's entertainment value,
Mhm.
big explosions is a perfectly valid form of art.
Great.
Laughing my head off for an hour and a half straight is a perfectly valid form of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even need good writing. I don't. As long as I'm laughing.
If someone's commit to the bit, sometimes the worst writing makes for the best laughs.
Absolutely. Am I there for the wrong reasons? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I
But
still had fun.
I'm a paying customer and I'm enjoying it. So I don't know. Sign me up. Yeah, it's just so. It's the refreshment that I really feel like I need, and that is something that I have found. And I have seen 20-Sided Tavern several times now,
Yay.
because it is truly just so refreshing to like be in that kind of space that, first of all, just scenically and technically is so
They
beautiful.
did such
where
a cool job with that
yeah,
set. Man.
it truly just feels so warm and welcoming in a way that I have not experienced in theater, but also just having something that is so accessible and can
Yeah.
create like bonds in a different way is just so nice.
That means so much. I really
Yeah.
do feel like we've done everything we can as a collective with production before I even joined in, everybody, to just try to make sure that everyone feels like this is a come as you are space.
Truly. Yeah. I don't even think you have to know D&D like the back of your hand to get
No,
stuff
my
out of it.
mother-in-law just came to see it.
Amazing.
She knows nothing about Dungeons & Dragons. She kept asking me
Mhm.
if that was going to be a problem. Like, I was lying to her when I said no.
Yeah.
And she had a really great time. And she
Yeah.
left the theater understanding a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then she said she was going to go look it up. So I'm sure she went on a Wikipedia dig. And I don't know if she found some videos, but she was into it.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so funny.
It's
I'm
really
gonna look it
funny.
up.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look it up. I like, don't know how to help with that.
Oh
but
my God, you're in for a lot of reading, girly pop.
Yep,
Damn.
so much. At this point, we were just like, okay, we're gonna create a family game, and like one of us
Amazing.
will DM for a one shot, so
Yeah.
you can try it out.
I do feel like it is starting to enter like truly more people's algorithms in general too.
Yes.
There was this really viral TikTok. I don't remember her name. It's the girl from Daredevil.
Yes, I
That-
know exactly
yeah.
which one. Talking to the other
The Punisher
guy.
guy.
The Punisher
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
That's been going around a lot.
It's perfect.
It is perfect. It is such a easily explainable way to show people D&D and
Yeah.
like just interactive gameplay, and that it doesn't need to be convoluted and hard and complicated. It truly is just a little bit of pretend. It's just a little pretend in our life.
And it really is so fun to watch that clip. And for people who don't necessarily play or know much about D&D, his first reaction trying to triangulate the distance is
Yeah.
so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, my first reaction might be to duck low and hide.
Truly.
Someone else's first reaction would be to shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting to see how people will approach the same problem.
And like someone who's not necessarily in that space, like just to be able to be like, okay, wait, what would I do in this situation that is completely hypothetical? You know, like we are truly escaping our lives in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't need to be that deep for it either. It's just you getting to experience something different via a game.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a small part of your day. Might as well do it.
You can take risks in a way you can't in real life.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? You know, if you fail, you fail, and it's probably really funny.
It is going to be really funny.
You know? Yeah.
And if it's dramatic, that character, you know, in a worst case scenario, you lose a character, you mourn the loss, but the character sheet gets to live on, you know? Like, you have this character in your heart. And there's no actual... You know what I'm trying to say? There's no actual danger involved, which is kind of so nice to be able to play without consequences.
Exactly. Let's just have fun with our friends. And play pretend like we all used to when we were young. Like, whatever happened to that? What part of life took that out of us, you know? I don't think it's actually real. I think it's just buried deep down in a place where you put it because... that's what adulthood in the world told you to, you know?
I, for years, had little bags of all the different costumes for the different types of murder mysteries I'd been doing for whatever different theme. And they were just in bags for a long time, tucked in the back of a closet for when I needed them. And I recently got an actual chest for the foot of my bed. And I now have my costume chest again, like I'm a child.
Wow.
And it's the most delightful thing.
That is amazing. I love that.
I advocate more adults get themselves their costume chest back.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. You have them in your house for various purposes, for Halloween alone.
Literally.
So just throw them in your chest, you know?
Have them available. You can look through them. You know where they are.
Yeah.
Whimsy.
Just bring more whimsy to your life. Y'all, life is too stressful. Life is too stressful. And especially for all y'all out there that chose the 9-to-5 life, I can't even imagine.
I tried a couple times. It did not stick.
Heard. Yeah, I just really haven't even I haven't really entertained that idea because I'm just not built for it. I'm not. I also just don't have any desire for it. I'm going to chase those dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a better way to go.
Also, monotony just really gets to me. You know? Which also, like, what another cool part about your job.
I know, I'm not even doing the same show every day.
No. And, like, it has the opportunity for people to play different parts, you know? It's just brilliant. It's just a really brilliant new form of art and theater and just changing it up.
It's so cool. It's like this lightning in a bottle situation because all the shows are fun, but once in a while we get one where, wow, we finish the show, we think to ourselves, that was one of the more incredible narratives, and then like you throw it away and you got to do it again the next day. It's just really fun.
Yeah. I love that. I really do. I'm so happy that you got to have this experience.
Me too.
And that
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
truly.
Yeah.
I really was telling people that entire time that there was no way I was going to get called up.
Yeah.
And now I get to do this fun thing.
Rock and roll. Have you found that the improv jitters have kind of subsided now that you are in the thick of it?
Yeah. I still feel like, listen, Maddie and Diego, their jokes a minute is unparalleled. They're incredible improvisers.
Yeah.
But I bring my own skills to the table.
Yeah.
They're slightly different. My comedy is also slightly different, and it's fine.
And that's what makes it. That's what makes a compelling show is different forms of comedy in that kind of regard. I saw your show the other night. It was great. Y'all were so well rounded. It was just a lovely trio, and it was just delightful.
Yay.
You know, absolutely. Oh, good times. I feel like we've shared so much wisdom for the people, you know? Do you have any other thoughts about just kind of making it happen for yourself and doing your own thing and finding your niche, finding your craft?
Yeah, I guess that would kind of be what I would distill down from everything we talked about is really, really having a conversation with yourself, looking deep and figuring out what it is you actually want to be doing. Not the thing you must do, because we'll take the jobs for money.
Of course.
But the thing you want to be doing and putting as much time and energy as you can afford to put into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's possible, folks. It is very possible. I am sitting with someone who is proving it daily, you know?
Yay.
Heck yeah. Which also, pop off.
Thank you.
Pop off. Good for you.
It's so fun.
Yeah. So get out there, folks. Have those it is so important to have those conversations with yourself. Like self-awareness is something that is vital in this industry.
You'll make yourself crazy.
Yeah, you know. And also, if you're having those conversations with yourself and it's kind of unsure, like take a sec and find yourself, which sounds so hippy-dippy, but like find the things that bring you joy, find the things that are central to you, even if it's something that you don't necessarily get to share with the world every day. Like find those things and find the art around that and the options are there, the pathways are there. You just gotta, they're gonna show up in a way that you don't expect.
Yeah, ears open.
Yeah, ears
and
open.
Open heart, and things will come. You just have to be prepared to receive it.
Exactly. What's meant for you will not pass you by.
Yay.
And we live by that because we have to.
Yep.
Oh, anyways, folks. Oh my God, wait, no. Jasmine, you have your own podcast.
I do.
Let's freaking plug that
Yay.
shit. Tell
Not
me.
only am I in the 20-Sided Tavern,
Yeah.
but I also have a very silly podcast called Shenanigans Ensue,
Amazing.
where me and my very good friend from acting school watch exclusively rom-coms
Amazing.
and dissect them, and that's that.
Gorgeous.
It's very fun.
I love that. Also, like, once again, podcasting is another, it's more theater.
Yep.
It is another option of performance. We are truly here giving it our all, and whatnot. So, once again, another option to put in that thought bank. Oh, okay. Anywho, folks, we are we are rooting for you. We are your biggest supporters.
Yes.
And you can be our biggest supporters by finding us on Patreon. Folks, just your normal reminder, we are not gatekeeping any vital information on there. That is for silly bonus content, silly stories, having fun. Half the times we don't even talk about theater, It's the stuff that we cut out of the episode because it was irrelevant and nonsensical, but very funny, I promise. So come on, join us over there. Also, our principal tier Patreon members get to choose the shows that Danny and I talk about every Wednesday on In the Spotlight. So if there's something you want to hear us chat about, come find us on Patreon. As always, folks, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA to Broadway. Jasmine, where can folks find you if you want to be found?
Most of my handles are at Jazzy Loves Drama.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've had that since high school.
Amazing.
And it's just going to stay that way.
As it should, because you know what? That's a good way to live. And how about your podcast? Where can folks find that?
Yeah, you can find us at most podcasting places. The pod is just called Shenanigans Ensue, and we also have an Instagram when we put little mini stories and glimpses at the episodes, and that's at Shenanigans Ensue Pod.
Amazing. Jasmine, thank you so much for joining
Brennan,
me.
thank you for having me.
This was an absolute delight. I really had a blast, and you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you. This was great.
Absolutely. Okay, folks. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.